Introducing John Chapman. I need to ask you a few questions about World War II. First of
Certainly.
all, how old are you, John?
I'm 84, coming on 85.
Ooh. What was your first memory of World War II?
Newspaper articles about battles and things like that. Certainly living in North Bucks, we didn't have we had aeroplanes, but we didn't have battles. You know, there were no fighting battles up there. So really it was just a very gentle, you know, it was more a game than anything to us as youngsters. Like that. And then we had an evacuee come from London, but she came with her mother, and I think her mother stayed on the settee and slept on the settee, and I can always remember her name was Audrey Rallings. There you go. You ask an old man things like this and it suddenly pops out. And we shared my bed. I was in a big double bed, in a double bed, and as I had shared it with my cousin Valerie, I then shared it with Audrey for about a year, I suppose, and then she went back to London because this was at the time of she went back to London. We never had her back again then.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay. How did you cope with your other family members staying with you? Was it easy?
Oh, it was just like you do in your family. It was just, you know, big family, and we all joined in, and I think it was fun, you know. I was, you know, we had a gang of boys, 8 or 9 of us from around our little area, and having a girl stay with me meant that we got a girl dragging around behind us who didn't play our sort of games so often, you know, because we were into war games, and we dug holes and put beams in and camouflaged them, so we had trenches and all sorts. And then one night a German aeroplane dropped a stick of bombs not on the town but in the fields outside, so we went up and took over, and so each gang had a bomb hole, and from which we played war games with the other gangs, throwing earth, you know, clods of earth at each other and that sort of thing, as boys do. It was great fun.
How did the war affect you mentally as a child?
There wasn't such a thing as mental when I was growing up. None of the boys lost a relative or anything like that. I certainly was aware of various ladies who lost a son, you know, and there was a lady across the road. We used to do national savings stamps, and sixpence. I used to get, I don't know what I got in pocket money, probably a shilling, and I bought a sixpence stamp on a Friday and used to go over there. And Mrs. Williamson lost one son in North Africa, and another son, I think, in Europe. She had 4 boys, and all of them in, well, the first one was in the army, the second one was in the Air Force. And I don't know about the other 2, but you know, so 2 were killed out of 4, and you just got on, I suppose.
Okay, I'll make this the last question, I guess.
Yeah, you haven't asked me about my dad.
Well, that's true.
My father was born in 1898, so he went away to the First World War. He never talked about it. I don't think many people did of that age. All I know is that I've got a circular medal with King George's head on it, I think, and that was given to men who were wounded when they were sent home from hospital, so that people didn't give them a white feather to thinking they were a coward because they were in civilian clothes and not away fighting. I say, I know that's all I know about that with him, apart from the fact that he was going to get discharged, and then they said, "You're a sportsman," and Dad said yes, and so they said, right. And they sent him to Everton, which is not quite the same as Liverpool. And they were camped on Everton's training pitch, and he played soccer, and then they went around from camp to camp, and Dad was the only one of the 20 or so who could drive, because he was apprenticed as a tool maker, but one of the things he learned to do was to drive, and so he was the driver, but they raced against various units, and he said they played soccer, they learned to play rugby during the spring and summer, they played cricket, and they swam in races against against units that were either waiting to go to Europe, to France, or waiting to be sent home at the end of the war. Right, so we had rather a nice, I think he enjoyed it. Yes.
I just got a random question that popped up on my head. I don't know if I know the answer. Do you know how old your dad was when he joined the war?
When he joined up, they first went, a whole group of apprentices, all cycled from Newport Pagnell to Oxford. It's about 25 miles, I suppose. And they were all thrown out, and the big chief petty officer picked them up under his arm and chucked them down the stairs and said, "When you can shave, come back," because they were all about 16 and wanted to. Yeah. But in the Second World War, he was in the ARP. Now the ARP, if you watch Dad's Army and you see the ARP there, that was one side of it, and you know, put that light out, making sure that you weren't showing chinks of light and the blackout and so on like that. But my dad was in heavy rescue, and they had a little truck and jacks and ropes and all sorts, and they went to London during the Blitz, and they went to Coventry when it was Blitz there, because both places were about 40, 50 miles away, but they went there, you know, to help shore up buildings while people went in and fetched you know, people out and that sort of thing. So he did some interesting stuff there. But and the interesting thing to me was that some nights he came back and he had been, they had a tower made of scaffolding that the fire brigade used to hang their hoses on to dry, and he used to go and sit up there on the scaffolding and read his evening paper, not by a candlelight, not by a lantern, but by the light of the fires from London 40 miles away, or from Coventry 40 miles away, and he reckoned you could read the newspaper by that light.
And was it hard knowing during the war you wasn't always safe?
I don't think we never even thought we were not safe. It would be different if you lived in a big town or a city where you were bombed. I mean, I can only remember in 1944 or 45 one or two doodle bugs going over, and But, you know, I mean, that was a bit of a laugh, you know, when you heard that, apart from the fact that your mother grabbed you and rushed you in and took you under the stairs to where you were supposed to be safe.
Yeah, that's all my questions.